Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to That Triathlon Show, the podcast presented by scientifictriathlon.com. I'm your host, Michael, and this is Beginner Tip 26, where we will discuss how long you need to prepare for a race. Quick update on my microphone. As you know, my old microphone gave in last week. I had an emergency setup. Now I have a great new, very expensive microphone. But the one thing that I didn't realize is that it wouldn't fit my old boom arm. So now I'm manually holding the microphone and trying to have a pop filter between my mouth and the mic to make sure that we have a decent sound quality. But until I get a proper boom arm, which I just ordered off Amazon to take the bill up even further for this investment, then it may be that it's still not quite ideal, but we're getting there. And next week, fingers crossed, I will have that new boom arm as well. Big thank you to our sponsors, Precision Hydration. They make electrolyte products that help you stay on top of your hydration. It's not just about fluid and water. Sodium and other electrolytes are just as important. And Precision Hydration help you find out how much of that you need with their free online sweat test that I'll link to in the episode description. And you can find it on precisionhydration.com. You can take it, find out what sort of electrolyte needs you have, and you can try your first Precision Hydration box or tube for free with the promo code THATTRIATHLONSHOW, all one word, all caps. And big thanks to Roka. They make the highest quality triathlon wetsuits, apparel, equipment, and eyewear sunglasses in the world. And I say that as a user of many of their products myself. One really great product that I would highly recommend for any beginners listening to this is their buoyancy shorts, which, if you are not aware, are shorts that you use when swimming that help keep your legs at the surface of the water. They have a lot of flotation to them, and if you have sinking legs when swimming, this can really make it difficult to practice your arm stroke. But with buoyancy shorts, you can forget about your legs. The shorts take care of that, and that can help you really improve your arm stroke and help you take the next step and become a better swimmer. You can find that product and others on roka.com, that's ROKA.com, and anything that you order, use the promo code THATTRIATHLONSHOW, all one word, all caps, for 20% off your entire order. So, let's get on to today's topic, how long to prepare for a race. The short and boring answer is that it depends. Also note that there's a difference between how long you need and how long you should prepare for a race. And try, whenever possible, to follow the should advice that I give instead of just the bare minimum that you can get away with. In general, I would say that most beginners, even if you're practically coming off the couch, can do their first sprint or super sprint distance triathlon in 8 weeks' time. So that's a good mark to shoot for, but who knows, if you have a local race in 3 or 4 weeks and you decide to sign up, it can be just fine. I would advise for you to have as a baseline level for a sprint, if you want to do it in, let's say, 4 weeks. I would say that you should be able to swim 100 meters, bike 10 kilometers, and run 2 kilometers to be able to likely get away with that shorter time to prepare, but because then the gap that you need to close isn't too big. If you can't swim, you've never biked, and you can barely run for a minute, then that is probably too big a gap to close in too short a time. So you may need those full 8 weeks to prepare, maybe more if you're really unfit and haven't moved in 10 years or so. But I think those cases are more extreme, and most people can do just fine with 8 weeks, even if you feel that you are very unfit. But that said, if you do have more than 8 weeks, that is a great bonus. The longer you have to train, obviously, the fitter you can become by the time of the race, which brings me to an important point. Whenever your goal race is, the best time to start training is today. If your goal race is in 1 year, start training today. maybe the best time to start training would have been 10 years ago, but your second best choice is today. But note that it will look quite different in terms of training if you are preparing for a race 10 months from now compared to 10 weeks from now. And that is brings me to something that we need to discuss, which is the concept of general versus specific preparation. So specific preparation is the training that you do in the last build up to a race. So that could be 8 weeks for a sprint race, or maybe 8 weeks for an Olympic race, maybe a bit longer, 12 weeks for a half race when you do your first half distance race. Whereas the general preparation is the training that you do when you're not preparing for a race, but you're still training. And depending on what your goals are, you may still be trying to get fitter, improve your fitness at all times in the general preparation phase. But you could also work on things like technique. Whatever your limiters are, really, you should try to become a well-rounded athlete in that general preparation phase, which is why for athletes that are preparing for very different races, in the general preparation phase, the training might look very similar. So a sprint distance specialist and an Ironman specialist might do the exact same training in the early winter when the racing season is far away. But then as they get into their specific preparation, that's when their training starts to look really, really different from each other's. That was general and specific preparation, and I hope that I explained that well enough. And I will get back to it in a little bit to explain why that was important for you to know. But what about if you do an Olympic race? I always do tend to recommend doing a sprint or super sprint as your first triathlon, although it's not an absolute must. But if you have done a sprint or even a super sprint, 8 weeks again of preparation for the Olympic should be enough, an appropriate time to prepare for you. And you can pretty much guarantee that you will be able to finish the race with a smile on your face if you train in a smart and structured way. If you have not done a short triathlon, you need to do a bit of a gap analysis to see how much time you need. And by the way, pro tip, almost anybody can with relative ease build up to the 40-kilometer bike with when they have a month or two to prepare. So it's really the swim and the run that are the critical components of this gap analysis. If you can already swim 400 meters or so, and you have done that in maybe training or even in a race, then 8 weeks should be a safe time for you to build to the remaining 1100. And if you can run a 5K, then you can also build to 10K in 8 weeks. But if your fitness is lower than that, then to calculate how long you need to prepare, I have some guidelines for how long it takes for you to build up to a certain distance. So on the run, let's say that you can only run 1 kilometer or less right now. So you have 9 kilometers that you need to build to. And I would advise to count on it taking 4 weeks per 3 kilometers, 3 weeks per 2 kilometers that you need to build to. So that means that if the first 4 weeks per 3 kilometers, that just means that if you have 4 weeks time, then you can, after those 4 weeks, you are now able to run 3 kilometers more than your baseline. So that would be 1 plus 3 equals 4 kilometers. And the other end of that range that I gave, 3 kilometers per 3 weeks per 2 kilometers, that means that in 3 weeks time you would be able to run 3 kilometers, again adding 2 kilometers to that 1 kilometer. And so if you want to close that 1 kilometer baseline to the 10K of the Olympic, this means that you would need 12 to 15 weeks to prepare. On the swim, 100 meters per 1 week of an increase is usually feasible. So if right now you can swim 100 meters, give yourself 14 weeks or so. Finally, let's quickly cover how long to prepare for your first longer distance races. It might not be on the agenda for you right now if you're a beginner, but at some point you are likely, because most people do end up moving up distances to want to maybe try a half or even a full distance triathlon. And my general recommendation again would be to do an Olympic before you do a half and do a half before you do a full. If you do that, then you can prepare for a half distance race in 12 weeks and a full distance in 12 to 16 weeks time. This does not mean that it wouldn't in some cases be beneficial to extend those times, but that really depends on how you do your general preparation and as opposed to your specific preparation. So, for example, let's say you have stayed on the couch for half a year, you've been eating chicken wings, and you've been watching every Netflix original that there is, then you would most likely benefit from extending those timelines a bit. But if you are like the athletes that I coach, for example, even if they vary in ability from beginner to very advanced, they always stay active, they stay consistent, and they do good training, good fitness boosting training in the general preparation period. So they keep getting stronger even when they're not preparing for a race. And in that case, they don't need a long specific preparation period. So for some of my athletes, I might only have them do 8 weeks of specific preparation for a half Ironman. And the 4 weeks before those 8 weeks might be transitioning a bit from general to specific preparation, but it's still not all out half distance focus at that point. It's a mixture of both general and specific training. So that again goes to show how important it is to have a grasp on those concepts of general and specific preparation. You got that as a bonus in addition to those numbers, how long to prepare for a race. Just briefly wrapping up, 8 weeks for a sprint distance, 8 weeks for an Olympic distance, 12 weeks for a half, 12 to 16 for a full. Some related episodes that you may enjoy, I've linked to all of them in the episode description. Beginner tip 2, 7 and 8, and they are called Do I Have to Do a Sprint Triathlon First? Training for a Sprint Distance Triathlon, and Training for an Olympic Distance Triathlon. And if you do want help with exactly how to structure your training leading up to a sprint or Olympic distance race, I have plans on scientifictriathlon.com, and they help you do just that. And they are 8 weeks, as I discussed here. If you want to take the guesswork out of your training, get the most out of the time that you invest in your training, you should either have a coach or follow a good training plan. And I may be biased, but I've never found a free plan online that is what I would call a good training plan. So I would recommend checking out my plans. If you end up buying them, note that there's a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you're not happy with the plan, you can get your money back. So it's a risk-free investment. Somebody who did invest in it is Jeff in Chicago, who got the beginner Olympic plan, and he left the following feedback that I wanted to read for you. I went from being stuck around 210 pounds for the longest time in my life to dropping down to 200 after completing the 8-week beginner Olympic distance plan. My blood pressure improved and I feel amazing. Before I started this plan, I found some online 8-week program geared towards getting you ready for a triathlon. The problem that I found out was that free online plans are too generic. There is not enough direction on the pace that you need to be pushing yourself. Since starting this program, I am injury-free and pain-free and feel like this plan is a personal plan based on my own pace and heart rate. There is no guesswork. You know what you have to do, and the only thing you have to do is stay disciplined. I have only good things to say about the plan, so it gets a big old 5 stars out of 5 from me. Thank you very much for that feedback, Jeff. I really appreciate it. I'll link to my training plans in the episode description, and it's scientifictriathlon.com/plans if you want to go there directly. Big thanks to our sponsors, Roka. Wetsuits, equipment, apparel, sunglasses. They are, as I've said before, in my opinion, the Nike of triathlon. Superb brand, superb, highest quality products that you can ever find in the triathlon industry. And you can find them on roka.com. That's ROKA.com. And you can get an amazing 20% discount on your entire order when you use the promo code ThatTriathlonShow, all one word, all caps on roka.com. And big thank you to Precision Hydration that you can find on precisionhydration.com. You can take their free online sweat test that I've linked to in the episode description to find out how much electrolytes you need to consume in your hydration to be able to perform in the training and racing based on your individual needs. Use the promo code ThatTriathlonShow, all one word, all caps, to get your first box or tube for free on precisionhydration.com. Thank you, as always, for listening. Keep training smart and keep loving triathlon.